Somebody watching this video right now has a loved one that's walked down a prison sentence. They're getting ready to re-enter into society and they're losing their mind. And you're probably trying to figure out why. The best thing I can tell you is anxiety, mental health, stress, whatever, is a very real thing. And the reality of going back into a world where bills now have to be paid. There is responsibility. I do have to work an actual job. I have to make good of some of the promises I've made over the years on the phone. Whatever it is, there's a certain anxiety that comes with the individuals that are getting ready to re-enter into society. And I used to watch it happen time and time again. But for me, at this period of my incarceration, with still some time to go, given the opportunity to be a mentor, somebody that stayed in the reentry dorm but didn't have less than 6 months, which was a unique experience in its own right, I can tell you, they had me stressed out too. There was too much pressure, if you will, to the simplest of things when it came to the reentry dorm. I remember just navigating the microwave line to heat up a cup of coffee could potentially mean you going to the bathroom to fight somebody. Sometimes the shower line, just going to take a shower could be stressful because the line was 20 men deep, and Lord knows in between the weight of one man to the next, somebody forgot or messed up the line, or some said they could go, and now it's miscommunication and chaos because somebody feels like they were skipped. I've seen people get hurt over the showers in reentry. It was the craziest thing. But right off, I remember the intensity of the phone lines in reentry where I was at. There were 6 phones, 94 people, and each phone, the 6 of them, basically had self-assigned people, if you will. There was somebody that ran the phone line for each phone. And the dangerous part of this is, imagine moving into a prison block where you want to call your family and you go to get on the phone, but you can't because there's already a line that's been locked in, an assigned line. And what I mean by that is the people that run the phones, they get their homeboys in the phone line, and from sun up to sundown, those are the only individuals that are on that phone unless you got some sort of respect, you know somebody, or there's just space in one of the lines. Because people will try to get you in a line, but if they can get away with it and feel like they can throw their muscle around and just 4 dudes be on the same phone all day, every day without allowing anybody else on it, they will. And every time a new individual used to come into the reentry dorm, it was always the same song. They would come, drop their property off, make some rounds, and go straight to the phones to try to figure out who ran the phone line so they could get a spot to get on the phone that evening. Usually you'd be moved into a dorm during the day. And sometimes it went okay. And sometimes it did not. Sometimes an individual would come in the dorm, his homeboys would be there, they'd get him worked into a phone line. He might have to be patient a little bit if he chose to, but he'd get in. And then there was some people that would come in and try to get on the phone line, and they didn't have any clout or respect or didn't know anybody. And unless they had enough heart to fight somebody or 2 or 3 dudes, depending upon the situation, it was what it was. They didn't get on the phone. The dangerous part about not having any allies when it came to the phone lines was phones usually were either ran by a city or a car, right? A gang. So imagine you having an issue because you can't get on the city of Richmond phone, quote unquote, and you try to fight one person, but the whole phone line is jumping you now because that's their homeboy. They locked that phone down. So you had decisions to make. A lot of guys used to forfeit and say, I'm just going to send emails. Some of us said, we're going to get on the phone. Was what it was. I was fortunate enough. Anytime I was in a pod like that, a lot of times the pod would, and when I say give me a phone, it sounds crazy, but I don't really know how to explain it. But I would always be given a phone line. And my phone line was typically the line where individuals that were too scared to ask to get on the phone because of the cars that ran it or just didn't want to deal with the politics, the headaches, I would let dudes get on the phone. And the reason I used to get a phone line is because I was also the elder or the mentor. So I used to tell dudes, hey, I'm trying to keep the COs out the block. So give me a phone line. And that way I let dudes get on the phone all day so they don't write no, drop no kites or write anything up, tell the COs what's going on. I know y'all got the phones locked. I ain't trying to mess it, but let's be smart. But anyways, this one individual comes in and it's chow time. So what happens is when people go to chow time, they leave the phones hanging. And that's supposed to be the marker. And if you come back and say this phone's hanging down, not hung up, technically jailhouse code or prison code where I was at, you're not supposed to get on that phone. I'm getting on that phone. But this is supposed to signify that somebody has next. And typically, if you're on that phone when they get back from chow or whatever, and they would confront you and ask you, blah, blah, it used to get busy. The phone lines was treacherous. Now imagine holidays where it's on steroids. Everybody, even the guys that normally don't get on the phone, want to get on the phone. They want to call their moms. They want to call whatever it is. Gets treacherous. I would say by far one of the worst situations I've seen over the phone firsthand would be individual by the name of Nut and Tone, man. And, the brother Tone was on the phone for one click. And typically you're either on the phone for one click or two max before you pass it off to the next man. Because they shut off the phones at a certain time. And Tone was riding. He bucked. And bucking means basically you went more than your number of turns on the phone. So Nut had a decision to make. You know what I'm saying? And basically, if he didn't check or try to check Tone, he wouldn't be able to get on the phone ever again. Because that means dude just bucked on him and other guys are knowing what's going on. And you got pressure from the people that are behind you in the line because you holding up their line now. They opportunity to get on the phone. So when he went out there and confronted him the first time, Tone got off on him. Got up, hit him, boom, 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 boom. Nut falls. He not really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Now his pride hurt. Now they go to the bathroom because the COs didn't see him yet. They go to the bathroom so they could get their thing all the way off. Nut slips and his teeth hit the corner of the metal sink or the porcelain sink, in the men's bathroom where we was at. And when I say his whole mouth was gutted and it was just pouring, it was pouring. And, man, it was crazy because then he snapped out. I ain't going to lie. He got his thing off. He actually won that thing. But by the time we was over it and the COs came in there was so much red stuff everywhere, man. It looked like dude weren't even, he wasn't even going to make it. Which he did. But, man, it was over a phone, man. Because somebody called or made one too many clicks. Yeah, so phones, microwave, showers, kiosk, everything. It was bananas, man. And it was just OD in there, for real.